What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another takeaway show after a Steelers win against the Cleveland Browns 26-22. The Steelers get it done at home, go one up in the AFC North, go one up in the AFC against their divisional rivals in their second game of the season. We're going to talk about 9 takeaways. I'm going to try and get it done in 9 minutes across offense, defense, coaching. We're coming at it all with you. Let's kick it off with number 1. You can't say Kenny Pickett's not the guy yet. You can't say he is the guy yet. I'm in the in camp, but you can't say he isn't. But what you can say is Canada is not the guy. Full stop. There's no more debates about it. This offense is stagnant. It is slow. It is uncreative. What is Kenny Pickett doing in the third and fourth quarter, having to try and run for 1 yard when it's the design play? And he's getting smashed by Myles Garrett, by Zadarius Smith. I think was out of the game by that point, but against a very good Cleveland pass rush. That's just ludicrous that Canada could put him in that position. Where's the use of Calvin Austin? Where's the use of Pat Freeman? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Where's the use of Darnell Washington? Where's the use of Haywood? It is boring. It is uncreative. It doesn't put Kenny Pickett in a position to win. In fairness to Canada, the offensive line's still not playing that well, but it's got to be better than that. And you can tell Kenny's frustrated. There was the clip from the sideline toward the end of the game where he was sitting. I think that was Glenn Thomas from the back from behind. But whoever it was that was the quarterback's coach, it wasn't Matt Canada. And Kenny Pickett was frustrated. He got asked in the press conference whether it was basically all Canada's fault. He gave a very vanilla holding statement back to the journos and the reporters in the crowd. So interesting to see what happens there. We said it in the pregame, Mark and I did. We don't think Canada's the guy. I said that after the bye, it could be bye-bye Canada. That's the way it's heading right now. I mean, honestly, atrocious. And in fact, you bring it up right now, these numbers for 2023 don't actually show the game against the Browns yet. A lot of stat sites like Pro Football Reference, PFF haven't uploaded these as I record this in my evening ahead of your morning on Tuesday, but on your Tuesday. But look at this. Canada has never ranked in the top 10 for anything noteworthy apart from attempts. And even then, what's that? Apart from interceptions in 2021, where the Steelers passing offense ranked 7th in interceptions, not top 10 in anything. Bottom of the league. Right now, 31, 32, 31, 30. This offense is awful. It's awful for fans to watch. Everyone heard the booing in the crowd. That's what Kenny Pickett got asked about as well in the press conference. For those of you that might have even been at the game, you know what this looks like. It's not good. It's abominable, and it's got to get better. And when Kenny Pickett will stall unless they do something about getting rid of Canada, he will never turn into the guy if this guy's going to be his offensive coordinator. All right, point number 2. Thank God we re-signed Alex Highsmith and Ogunjobi. Those two guys were lethal in this game. The first play of the game in defensively, Alex Highsmith managed to turn that into a TD. He had a terrific game. He had 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, a pass defense, 2 quarterback hits. He had the forced fumble as well. That led to TJ Watt's touchdown. Incredible. Ogunjobi, according to the ESPN box score, his stats were 4 tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 2 quarterback hits. He was all over it. He was putting pressure. He stepped up to the plate with Cam Hayward out, as did Leal. But the point here on number 2 is thank God we re-signed Alex Highsmith and Ogunjobi. That's my takeaway, the second takeaway from this game. Third takeaway, bit hard because I couldn't pull up who let in the sacks on Kenny Pickett in this game. But, we know that there was 2 for 22 yards and who let the pressure on the quarterback hits. But I think Broderick Jones has got to make this team after the bye. I didn't think Chooks looked that great. I didn't think Dan Moore looked very good. The offensive line isn't creating holes for nothing. Play post the bye. That's a move the Steelers have got to make. He was ready. He was suited up on the sideline, ready to go in. We talked about the rumor ahead of the game whether Chooks couldn't make it or not to play. I think after he's had that road experience in Vegas, I then think it's time for Broderick Jones, either just before the bye or certainly straight after it. Number 4, Pickens is just getting started. What a touchdown, 71 yards, ran through the middle of the field. All offseason was talked about what he's added to his skill tree, and a part of that was the route tree. 4 receptions, 127 yards, an average of 31.8, 1 TD. He is a playmaker. This guy is fantastic. Couple more games like this, especially when you bring back Deontay Johnson. And Allen Robinson, I thought, had a pretty decent game as well. Even though they couldn't find a way to work him in, God forbid, couldn't find a way to work in Pat Freiermuth. But George Pickens is a weapon, and as soon as you get Deontay back, he is going to cause some real headaches down the stretch. The Steelers just have to let him continue to grow and not overly rely on him, and let him continue to be that playmaker. We would love him to be a 1B for now, even though he's probably the quality of a 1A. How good would it be to have him as a 1B where other teams have got a scheme for someone else and then Pickens is left open as an afterthought, or even what he opens up for Freiermuth and Najee and Warren and Allen Robinson as well. Point number 5, the DBs still look off to me. Apart from Elijah Riley, I thought he played well. Again, I'm not thrilled with Pat P. I don't think he's stepping up to the plate to match the talk that he had before the start of the season. Levi Wallace got found out a few times. But to me, this is more on Terrell Austin. We talked about in the pregame. I talked about it a lot last year. I think Terrell Austin, Pittsburgh will always be great blitzers. I think the linebacker plays improved with Curry coming into coach, even after, having Flores last year. But Terrell Austin is meant to be a DB-focused defensive DC or defensive coordinator, and it just doesn't look fluid. Something's got to change there. They're going to get found out by passing teams with this. It's got to get better. It just has to. It's not good enough. They'll be lucky to beat some of the better teams in the league, as we saw last week against the 49ers, if they don't get this right and quickly. The third downs. I can't pull up the exact numbers off it because I was reacting as a fan live to it. But that third down that they let them convert on the line in their own 20, got them the first down by plenty on the sidelines. That happened 2 or 3 times in the second half. That can't happen. It's poor defense. When you've got guys like Watt and Highsmith scoring TDs on defense, and then you let that crap happen, it's just poor. As we said in the pregame show, this should be a top 10 without Cam Hayward, top 5 defense in the league. Terrell Austin's got to scheme better off the DBs off that. It's just not good enough. At least Joey Porter looked like he's starting to come with it as well. Had a lot more than the 7 snaps. Again, I don't have that final number yet. We'll be able to share more of that in the rookie report later in the week. Number 6, we're going to try and quick rip through them. I don't think I'm going to get one takeaway a minute, but we'll try and keep this to 10, 12 minutes. Holcomb played really well. I said in the pregame show we needed to have an all-pro game. Wasn't quite all-pro, but was a lot better. Quan Alexander had a strong game as well. A couple of missed tackles, but overall his performance was really strong. I think together they combined for something like 20 of the Steelers' 59 of the Steelers' 80 tackles. 17 of the Steelers' 80 tackles. So almost a quarter of the tackles coming from just those 2 blokes. Terrific effort there. Herbig looks like he should have had a sack there if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson's face mark. He looks like a perfect third wheel, if you like, to Highsmith and TJ Watt in the outside linebacker room. Marcus Golden had a good game as well, got in there for a sack by continuing a double effort on the pursuit after he originally got blocked, and then Rapp was able to clean up the garbage of Watson. I really like that. We've got genuine 4 outside linebackers, and you're seeing the rotations, the difference that's making. So good to see. That's going to be so important down the stretch. But as I say, Herbig long-term definitely looks like the third wheel to TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith at outside linebacker. Point number 7, or takeaway number 7. Why can't they use Freiermuth? It is a travesty, a crime, whatever word you want to use. Pat Freiermuth, 1 reception for 2 yards. One target to a guy that should be the top 5 TEs in the league. It is embarrassing. That tells you everything you know about the Matt Canada offense. A joke. Absolute joke. Travesty. This team's never going to score 30 points unless Freiermuth's seeing 5 to 10 targets a game. Awful. Got to get better. I'm hoping that he can have a big game indoors against Vegas next week, and particularly against Houston as well the following week. Going back to defense, Neal looked better. I'm not talking about the safeties. Minka's obviously got the chest injury, had the massive tackle on Nick Chubb. That was fantastic to see. Obviously not fantastic to see Nick Chubb get injured like that. A leg should not be bent forward at a right angle ever. Not great. Wish Nick Chubb all the best. Really cool from the Pittsburgh crowd to see them cheer him off. But back to the safeties. Neal looked a lot better in the offense. They're definitely using those 3 safety sets. They had a couple interesting sets where it was Holcomb and Neal, but definitely more Neal, Quan, and then you had Kazi and Minka at the back there as well. Neal playing very much around the box. I don't mind a little bit of this. This might be why the DBs look off because they're still getting used to some of this. Neal looked better, made some big plays. He's still not, I think, at where Terrell Edmonds was last year, but they are kind of a little bit different players in terms of the athleticism and what Neal can do a lot more in the box versus Edmonds. I'm liking where that's heading. We need to continue to see that improvement over the next few weeks. And then number 9. Well, what does number 9 and the Steelers correlate to right now? You might say the Wizard of Oz, but it is clearly TJ Watt. He's an alien, a weapon, a Top Gun, whatever positive word, phrase, adjective you want to use. He's all of those times a billion. Steelers sack leader. Congratulations to TJ Watt, 81.5 sacks. Had the touchdown. They kept saying it was his first touchdown in his career. Didn't he score one against the Chiefs in the playoffs? Yes, that doesn't count as your in-season stats. But awesome for TJ. He gave all the credit to Highsmith, game ball to him as well. He was saying all the ball that he scored that TD off. Together, these two are a dynamic duo. They are the Batman and the Robin. That's been used. People might not like that with Highsmith, but when you're playing in what was be used in the Batman films, that's an awesome analogy. I call it yin and yang, whatever you want to use. 1-2 punch. I don't know, whatever phrase you want to use, but these two together are lethal. And TJ Watt, I mean, what a tear. 2 games, 4 sacks plus. I think he's on like 6 or 7 quarterback hits now. I've got to wait for those stats to come out. That's just off what I've counted off the back, roughly. What a season. A lot of people touted full season. Can he break the sack record? Let's see. We know he's had injuries. I don't want to put that jinx on him or the yips on him there. But, I mean, TJ is, oh, man, he's winding up. I got an authentic jersey for him this offseason. Love that I did that because what a man to be proud of. What a man to be proud of. What a Steeler to be proud of. Good quality bloke. And these guys are winning the Steelers games now. 26 points. 12 of them came directly from touchdowns scored by defensive players. That is huge. And as I said to Mark in the pregame show, if the Steelers were going to get to 30 points, they would need at least 1 defensive score. They only got to 26, but they got 2 defensive scores, which tells you everything you need to know about the first thing we said, which is Matt Canada. That just needs to change. But with that, that's my 9 takeaways from the Pittsburgh Steelers' second game at home of the season, their first win of the season, in terms of AFC North and AFC football. Bring on the Las Vegas Raiders next week in Las Vegas. Can't wait to see it. And as always, go Steelers.